Solomon became the son-in-law of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. He married Pharaoh's daughter and took her to the city of David until he could complete the building of his palace, the temple of Yahweh, and the ramparts of Jerusalem. The people, however, were still sacrificing on the high places, because at that time a dwelling place for the name of Yahweh had not yet been built. Solomon loved Yahweh. He followed the precepts of his father David, except that he offered sacrifice and incense on the high places. The king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, since that was the principal high place. Solomon presented 1,000 burnt offerings on that altar. At Gibeon, Yahweh appeared to Solomon in a dream. During the night, God said, "Ask what you would like me to give you." Solomon replied, "You showed most faithful love to your servant David, my father, when he lived his life before you in faithfulness and uprightness and integrity of heart. You have continued this most faithful love to him by allowing a son of his to sit on his throne today. Now, Yahweh, my God, you have made your servant king in succession to David, my father. But I am a very young man, unskilled in leadership. And here is your servant, surrounded with your people, whom you have chosen, a people so numerous that his number cannot be counted or reckoned. So give your servant a heart to understand how to govern your people, how to discern between good and evil, for how could one otherwise govern such a great people as yours?" It pleased Yahweh that Solomon should have asked for this. "Since you have asked for this," God said, "and not asked for long life for yourself or riches or the lives of your enemies, but have asked for a discerning judgment for yourself, here and now I do what you ask. I give you a heart wise and shrewd, as no one has had before and no one will have after you. What you have not asked I shall give to you. What you have not asked I shall give you too, such riches and glory as no other king can match. And I shall give you a long life if you follow my ways, keeping my laws and commandments as your father David followed them." Then Solomon woke up. It had been a dream. He returned to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant of Yahweh. He presented burnt offerings and communion sacrifices and held a banquet for all those in his service. Later, 2 prostitutes came to the king and stood before him. "If it please you, my lord," one of the women said, "this woman and I live in the same house, and while she was in the house, I gave birth to a child. Now it happened on the 3rd day after my delivery that this woman also gave birth to a child. We were alone together. There was no one else in the house with us, just the 2 of us in the house. Now one night this woman's son died. She overlaid him, and in the middle of the night she got up and took my son from beside me while your servant was asleep, and she took him in her arms and put her own dead son in mine. When I got up to suckle my child, there he was, dead, in the morning. I looked at him carefully, and he was not the child I had born at all. Then the other woman spoke. 'This is not true. My son is the live one. Yours is the dead one.' And the first retorted, 'That is not true. Your son is the dead one. Mine is the live one.' So they wrangled before the king. 'This one says,' the king observed, 'my son is the one who is alive. Your son is dead.' While the other says, 'This is not true. Your son is the dead one. Mine is the live one.' 'Bring me a sword,' said the king, and the sword was brought into the king's presence. 'Cut the living child in 2, the king said, "and give half to one and half to the other." At this the woman who was the mother of the living child addressed the king, for she felt acutely for her son. 'I beg you, my lord,' she said, 'let them give her the live child. On no account let them kill him.' But the other said, 'He shall belong to neither of us. Cut him in half.' Then the king gave this decision. 'Give the live child to the first woman,' he said, 'and do not kill him. She is his mother.' All Israel came to hear the judgment which the king had pronounced, and held the king in awe, recognizing that he possessed divine wisdom for discerning justice.